Thanks for that. So, hey everyone, happy Friday. Or perhaps you're somewhere where it's Saturday. I'm not sure who all is on here yet. So I think I know everyone, but I always want to introduce myself or reintroduce myself. I'm Rosa Maimi, and I'm the Director of Engagement and Membership for AGU. And you are at the monthly section leader support call. So we appreciate you being here. I would ask, if you're not speaking, put yourselves on mute. And we will take questions at the end of each presentation, but you can always put stuff in the chat because we're also going to be looking at that. So why don't we go ahead and get started. Let's go to the next slide. So here's the agenda. You all probably saw it, but just to refamiliarize. So I'm going to do a couple of brief updates after this, and then we have Latoya Miles, who's our Honors and Recognition Committee Chair, who's going to talk about how to interact with you all sections during the fall meeting. We have Jim Murray here, who is the Subcommittee Chair of the College of Fellows Distinguished Lecture Series, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the series and make an ask. We also have Sam Veneruso, who's new to AGU, is going to talk to us about the vision around the learning strategy development. And Nicole Oliphant, who I think a lot of you know with scientific programs and the meetings team, is going to talk about scientific programs at fall meeting. And of course, we'll have open mic. So let's go to the next slide. I'm going to do some quick updates. So you may have seen, if you do look at the AGU Connect section leader community, that Greg sent a note just the other day that next week, November 2nd, is the last day to purchase tickets to section events for the fall meeting. If you have questions about that or don't know what that's about, you can talk to Greg, who's actually on this call when we get to open mic, but also you chat him or email him separately if there's a real specific question you have. The other update I have is about section concierges. As you all know, the way we've been operating is having a staff person assigned to a grouping of sections. We're going to change up that format. We are going to be soon hiring on a section support coordinator. So we will have one person as opposed to 4 different people being kind of, we'll probably do away with the word concierge, but basically play that role and be your point of contact on all of the things that you've been used to with the concierge. We will talk more about that in November and possibly have someone for you to meet. But I just wanted you to know that kind of method of interacting with AGU and member services is going to change up a little bit. The other is, some of you may remember earlier in January, we did these one-on-one section meetings, right? Kind of from the staff side, it was like back to back 25 one-hour meetings with your kind of executive committee folks. We are still going to do something like that for 2023, but we're looking at possibly also changing up that format to give you all more of an opportunity to learn from each other in addition to learning from us as staff. So there will be that onboarding that will still happen, where operationally we'll give you some feedback on things like fundraising and budgets and the things that you can do with us, like webinars and newsletters and outreach. And other kind of expectations and things around the section leader role kind of outside of the council space. So that's my long way of saying we're still going to do this. It just may look a little different. We're still trying to figure out what that is. So come to the November call, because by then we'll have it figured out and can let you know how that's going to work and get folks scheduled for those onboardings. And then just a reminder that the next section support call will be the 18th of November, because the usual cadence would have us right in the middle of the US Thanksgiving holiday. So as you know, this meeting is always the 4th Friday of every month. So next month, we'll do it on the 18th. And we'll talk about these and probably a fall meeting update as well. So I'm going to stop there to see if anyone has anything on those brief updates before we get to our next presentation. All right. Okay, so now let's turn it over to Latoya Miles. As I mentioned, she's our AGU Honors and Recognition Committee Chair, and she's also the Deputy Director at NOAA's Air Resources Laboratory. And we're excited to have her here to talk a little bit about the committee and talk about some upcoming things with the fall meeting. So Latoya, if you're ready, we are.
Yes, thanks so much, Rosa. Hello, everyone. I wanted to take a few moments at the beginning of this meeting to talk about the AGU Honors and Recognition Committee, give a little bit of background just briefly, and then proceed through some of the opportunities for engagement that we'll have with the H&R Committee and the Honors Program at fall meeting. Next slide, please. So as most of you know, the Honors and Recognition Committee maintains oversight of AGU's honors program at all levels. And that includes our medals, awards, and prizes, journalism awards, section awards, fellows, etc. And among our major activities are making recommendations about the nomination and selection policies and procedures for honors, as well as reviewing proposals for new recognitions, as well as updates for existing recognitions. And then also we are focused as a committee on being able to create a community to leverage and enhance the visibility and the achievements of our peers in the honors program. I'm very pleased to serve as chair of the Honors and Recognition Committee. And then on this slide, you'll notice all of the members that serve on the committee and their various affiliations. Next slide, please. Our website is agu.org/honors, and that website has a plethora of information about honors, including the timeline, a list of the various honors, and background about each of those. And so we always encourage members and colleagues to go out to the website. And basically we have a variety of honors, as you'll see, that recognize individuals who have made outstanding contributions in the earth and space sciences across scientific research, education, communication, science communication, and outreach. And we will recognize our latest class of honorees at the fall meeting in December. One of the statements that I like to share with anyone when I'm in conversation about the AGU Honors Program is that I hope that folks don't only think about the honors program and nominations at one time a year. We want you to always think about, are there colleagues, are there postdocs, are there students, are there mentors that you could help in some way be nominated for an honor, whether that's providing their name to someone else who can serve as the nominator, whether that's serving as a letter writer, a supporter, a reviewer of a nomination package. There are many different opportunities to engage in the nomination process. So we encourage you to consider nominating qualified colleagues, mentors, peers, and students. And it is a great time while we are either in person in Chicago or virtually everywhere to think about potential nominees and how you might engage in the honors process. Next slide, please. That said, I wanted to provide just a couple of updates on some of the work that the H&R Committee has been engaged in this year. We are so very pleased that we were able to support the launch of 2 new union level awards. You'll hear more about these at fall meeting. I think there's going to be a little bit of a celebratory activity to launch these. There's the AGU Award for Advancing Inclusive Excellence in STEM, as well as the AGU Lifetime Achievement Award for Diversity and Inclusion. We've heard feedback over many years during my time serving as both a member and now as chair of the Honors and Recognition Committee, that these 2 awards or similar awards that recognize kind of outstanding work in the diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility space. This is something that we've heard from members that they want to see. And so we were so pleased that these proposals were put forward and approved by council and of course supported by board. And so you'll see the launch of these 2 new union level awards at fall meeting this year. In addition, as we've shared in many of our updates to council, The honors program audit is ongoing. The purpose of this audit is to assess our alignment with AGU's strategic plan, including the diversity and inclusion strategic plan. We've had some great meetings, including just a few days ago, that garnered and helped us understand some of the feedback that was received from various partners, both inside the union, other organizations that have honors programs, et cetera. And now we have a set of recommendations that will be presented to both council and board at the fall meeting. And so we look forward to sharing more information about those recommendations in December. Next slide, please. And the main purpose of these slides today is to really talk about some of our fall meeting activities when it comes to honors. We appreciate that AGU, whether you're virtual or in person, is always a very, very busy week full of activities. But we hope that as section leadership that you will be able to engage with the honors program through some of our events. The first that we're hosting is an honors town hall that's entitled Refining the AGU Honors Program of the Future. That's going to be held Monday, December 12th at 6:30 p.m. local time in Chicago. And that's the room number in McCormick Place. We hope that you'll be able to join us because the focus of that town hall will be those recommendations from the honors program audit. This will give us an opportunity to share those more broadly with attendees at fall meeting and also garner feedback from you and hear your thoughts about these recommendations as we consider how to move forward and implement those in the coming years for the honors program. So please join us if your schedule allows for that town hall on Monday, December 12th in the evening. The honors luncheon, which is hosted by the H&R committee, includes our 2022 honorees, board and council. That is happening Monday, December 12th at 12 noon. We'll hope you'll be able to join us for that. Then, of course, Wednesday, as we say, as always, it seems to be the honors program day, right? That's our day where we have a lot of activities. Our honors ceremony, which is open to the public, which is always, I feel like it's an Oscar-worthy event, right? It's so much fun to celebrate the accomplishments of the honorees and to see them with their family and friends and colleagues. That's taking place Wednesday, December 14th at 6 p.m. And then, of course, that's followed by the honors banquet, which is a ticketed event that evening at 8:30 p.m. as well. Here's something that we thought about as an honors committee in a way that we want to engage at fall meeting, and that's through the section business meetings and events. Of course, our honors and recognition committee members are not only members of the committee, but they're members of various sections. And so we want to ensure that if there's interest from section leadership, that we have honors and recognition committee members who are attending section business meetings or events that will be able to attend those if there's interest. We have individuals from the H&R committee who will be attending in person in Chicago. And so if you would like someone from the committee to be able to attend one of your events or meetings, we'd be happy to do so. We know that at some of the meetings there is recognition, of course, of the honorees and from that year from the various sections. And so please reach out to Rosa. I'm going to put you on the spot there and let her know if there's an interest, and we can make sure that we have an H&R committee member, if schedules align, be open to attending section events. And then finally, we have our online awards showcase. So our online awards showcase is a web page that highlights all of our 2022 honorees. That is always launches and is available at fall meeting, but we also keep it up past fall meeting because we know that folks actually like to link to that. They like to share that with their families. And so even if you're in person in Chicago, just please consider taking a look at the online awards showcase as well. Next slide, I think that's it. Now I'm happy to entertain any discussion or questions. Thanks, Rosa.
Thanks, Latoya. Does anyone have any questions? You can put in the chat, raise your hand, yell out, whatever you like. All right, I don't see anything. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question related to the events and so on. So you know, we've been asked, of course, faithfully not to consider the section, lead section that people belong to when we're thinking about honors, you know, so we're supposed to be blind about that. And so when we receive packets to go over, we have a certain list. So is it, so when we want to then give those tickets to our events, how do we, can I talk to Latoya or someone about which ones are assigned to us? Because we have ticketed events where we had placeholders, but now I've got to make sure which of the people that we should assign to those.
And I am going to ask to see if Greg or Leah want to chime in on that as well.
I mean, is there a magic list out there where all of the new fellows have been assigned to those ticketed events that we're not aware of? I just would like to reach out to them, to those people, and make a special invite to them to come to our events.
Yeah, hi Julie. Yeah, for every section, they were in March when we asked people to provide information about their events. We also asked every section if they wanted their honorees
Right.
to be invited to their receptions, business meetings, or their early career events. So if you stipulated that you wanted your honorees to be invited, that includes union fellows, all that, to be invited to your ticketed event, then they've already been invited, and promo codes have been added to their accounts so that they can register for those events, and they'll be free to those persons.
Yeah, I just would like to reach out to them, and I don't want to reach out to the wrong people. So I'll write to you,
Yeah,
Greg,
sure. We've already contacted them. If they were,
I know, but I'd like to know who you contacted. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Julie. And Jeff, you've got your hand up.
Yes, a similar sort of concern. We've got a section newsletter, and I would really like to send out congratulations to our honors and awards recipients that are associated with our section. And of course, for the section awards, we know who that is, but for the union and the fellows, we don't know. And so, in addition to sending out, oh, please come to the reception.
Right.
That kind of recognition that we can give to our section members really depends on knowing, and you don't want to leave someone out, right? You've got a list, and then somebody, oh, why didn't someone congratulate me? So I think generally that, and this seems to be something that you can do one-on-one every year, but it's a recurring need.
Mm-hmm. No, that's
Well,
that. Go ahead, Greg.
If you want to find out which honorees were from your sections were provided with honors, contact Leah.
Right, but we shouldn't have to contact Leah every year, each section independently. And if we, back to this again, if we had a list of section members, we could cross-check against that, but we can't do that either.
Yeah, I want to just chime in here. I think Julie and Jeff make great points, and I wonder, Rosa, if this is something that we could think about a way to electronically communicate that out to section leadership in advance, because I really appreciate the idea of wanting to reach out personally to the honorees. And I think it would mean the world to so many people to say that their section has invited them to participate in this activity and event at fall meetings. So maybe we can think about how we might be able to share that information.
Yeah, I think that's something we can certainly look into. For right now, I think Leah and Greg can help with the individual requests, but I think going forward, we probably should kind of look at a way to provide that. So to your point, Jeff, it isn't kind of a recurring going back to. Okay. Any other questions? I see, let me see what's in the chat here. Sebastian has put in an item here. Okay, so that's a comment there. Julie asked the question, the AGU, how are section awardees honored? My understanding, but then I will ask Leah to probably chime in, is that for the section awardees, I think it's different, right? For depending on what they want to do, some may be acknowledging folks during the section events, that the individual section events that are happening at the fall meeting. Some people may do it online, some other way outside of the fall meeting. Leah, do you have any other input into how that happens?
No, to my knowledge, it's up to the sections as to how they want to recognize their lecture and award recipients. We did, of course, extend the invitation out to this year's section honorees to participate in the honors program luncheon, which is hosted by the H&R committee, but there is no one single event similar like to the honors ceremony where we recognize the group as a collective. They are included on the online showcase, and that, of course, runs from the fall meeting through March. So that is one platform where the group is recognized collectively, and they do have their formal citations. They'll have their pictures, headshots, field photos, and then we will be adding their responses to that afterwards.
And Julie, you had your hand up. Did you want to amplify your note?
I mean, that answers most of my question. I was just really wondering, like, where are they seen throughout those different ways in which honors are being recognized? So if they are highlighted somehow at the awards banquet, what does that look like? And just to get a sense, like, Science and Society has their first section award this year, so we haven't seen what that looks like, and want to be sure like we are amplifying whatever it is that AGU is doing to honor these people, and so a better sense of what that looks like, and what you shared is really helpful. So the showcase online seems like the main place, but if there are others, even if it's just slides at the honors banquet or what that is, it would be great to get a better sense of that. And if
Well,
others want to share because they have more experience in this space, that would be great too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If there are other sections who, I mean, it'd be nice if you want to do that now for a few minutes and say, how do you honor your, acknowledge your section winners. The other thing I will mention is that we will have some signage, Julie. I mean, I know it's not kind of like an event type of thing, but we're going to have some signage at the fall meeting that shows all of the awardees, section and union level. So, and Tanya.
I will chime in on what we do, Julie, because we're also new. We have a lecture associated with our award, and so that we get to publicize, and we have already put it out on our newsletter, and we're hoping that people will think that it's great to come and meet this person during the half hour before the networking event.
Thanks, Tanya. I appreciate that. All right, so in the interest of time, we're going to keep going, but I appreciate it. And Latoya, we really appreciate it. And please, to Latoya's point, let me know if you'd like any of the H&R committee folks to make themselves available to you, your events at fall meeting, and I'm sure they'll attend and get in touch with you. So just let me know. All right, so we are going to be moving on to the College of Fellows Distinguished Lecture Series, a little bit of an overview and, like I said, an ask for, I think, new lecturers. So we've got Jim Murray, who's on the College of Fellows Executive Committee, and he is the subcommittee chair that oversees the series. So with that, Jim, if you're ready, we are ready for you.
Yeah, thank you, Rosa. And thank you for the opportunity to address the section leaders live. I am Jim Murray. I'm a chemical oceanographer at the University of Washington, and I'm a member of the College of Fellows and have the job as the leader of the subcommittee on the Distinguished Lecture Series, which we started in 2021. The first cohort of 19 speakers gave talks for over the academic years of 2021 and 21-22. So they're finishing up this coming spring. Participation in this program is viewed as an honor. It's bestowed on AGU fellows. They get to represent themselves as high-profile ambassadors of AGU and geophysical science. This speaker series is especially targeted at underrepresented colleges to give those people at those universities and locations access to high-level synthesis on specific fields, sort of a focus on the grand challenges and societal impacts. Not so much the latest highlighted scientific results, but more of a synthesis. In this first offering, like I said, I said we had 19 lectures. There's 25 sections, I understand. I think we had nominations from 22 of them, 21 of them. So a few sections didn't make a nomination. And it's been very successful. There's a website that you can see. I'll provide you a link to it eventually, and you can see who's given talks and where. And the talks have been virtual during this initial rollout period. So we're not going to ramp up and request new nominations for the next academic year, the 22-23 academic year. And we're going to send you an email making a request. The requests are going to go to the I guess the president-elects, which are present president-elects who become presidents in January 1st, I think. I think that should be their responsibility primarily. And we're going to ask each AGU section to request one nomination. We are allowing 3 sections that are the very large sections: atmospheric science, hydrology, ocean sciences, to make 2, primarily because of their size. And we're going to ask that you, before you make an email with the nomination, that you confirm with the nominee they're willing to participate. If you could send their nomination and a copy of their CV, I'm going to ask you to send it to myself and to Hannah Hoffman, who's our liaison at AGU. Then we'll worry about doing titles and abstracts and bio sketches and pictures later. I think that's the main thing I'm going to say. It's just an alert that you're going to be getting an email with this request. So you can be thinking about it between now and, well, actually then, and we're going to request the nominations by the 31st of January. So you have a couple of months to think about it. But the initial program was really successful. And I guess I'm willing to take questions.
All right, any questions for Jim? Let's see, I'm looking in the chat here. I also put something in the, put a link to the webpage in the chat there. Let's see here. Suzanne Jim asks, is there a chance the nominee will not be selected or accepted?
I think the way it's going to work is they'll probably all be accepted. When the program was first started, we were designing it really before COVID became a problem. And the initial plan was to have whatever 20 nominations, and then we would pare them down to somewhere between 6 and 10 that AGU would fund them to do live presentations. We had a budget for doing that, doing live presentations. But because of COVID, then the ramp out was all virtual. But it was a great success to do it that way. And actually it made, as you'll see on the website, there's these 19 lectures, and I'd like to hear all of them. In fact, even the ones that are especially the ones outside my field. And I think that we are going to keep with that mode, accept them all. And there is going to be some money in this next round for a small number of live presentations at especially underrepresented colleges, universities. And we haven't worked out all the exact details about how that will go. But by and large, they're going to be mostly virtual.
Okay, thanks for that. And then Burke asks, is there a list of lectures? So hopefully, Burke, what I just put in the chat, the link answers that, but let me know if not. And Allison, you've got your hand up.
Hi, I was wondering if you could tell us like how many times these lectures were happening, just because one thing that I found with the nominations on the last round is people wanted to know what the time commitment was. And so I can see the names, but like how frequently were people asked to give these virtual presentations, and sort of what is the commitment requested?
Our upfront commitment was no more than 5 lectures. The vision would be that they'd prepare a topical 45-minute lecture and more or less give the same one over and over again. Reality, I don't know in reality. I suspect it probably got modified each time they gave it. But I'm forgetting the rest of your question.
It was mostly about time commitment.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it was
Yeah.
saying like, we knew at that time it was going to be virtual, but they're like, how many are we giving? And it was like, is it 5? Is it 20? So I think that no
Yeah.
more than 5 is a helpful constraint.
No,
So
no
thank
no
you.
more than 5 without, there's been a couple of speakers that have been requested to give more than 5. And
Okay.
what we've done is contacted them, asked them if they'd be willing to give an extra one. So
Okay.
in both cases, I think it's worked out. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, one follow-up. And then the anticipation that for the coming years that they're again going to be predominantly virtual, but some may be in person. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
We haven't worked out the exact details. We want to be able to, there is some budget, and we can send a few, something like 5 or so to underrepresented colleges, and how we're going to request nominations or requests for those. And then we have to do an iteration with the speakers to see if they want to go visit or not. It's going to involve a little more coordination to do it
Okay.
live.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. And Burke, you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question was sort of related, and thanks for posting the website, but I couldn't find out how many times any of these speakers had actually given a presentation, and wondering if we could see that information posted somewhere, maybe on this website as well.
Yeah, I think we can provide the info. We don't have it right here, but yeah.
Thanks.
So Rosa, I know that there's a spreadsheet that shows
That's
that,
right.
but it's not linked to the website.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll figure out a way to get that information to folks. But yeah, we to Jim's point, we are tracking that. Yeah. Anything else for Jim?
The Excel sheet's really nice because it lists the speakers by how many times they've been requested, and then it gives locations they've been requested by. So it contains a lot of information about how it's actually worked out. And there's been two speakers who haven't been requested at all, much to my disappointment, because I'd really like to hear their talks as well. But it's a little bit random.
All right. Thank you so much, Jim, and everyone. To Jim's point, look out for follow-up communication as he recruits for more lecturers. So thank you, and we will move on.
And I will leave. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jim. We really appreciate it. All right, so next we have Sam Veneruso, who's our new Director of Learning Programs, and she's going to talk to us about learning strategy at AGU. So Sam, if you're ready.
Thank you so much, Rosa. I appreciate it. So just so we're, so that it'll help you as we move through this presentation, much of this is informational so that you understand where AGU is trying to go and what we're trying to do, as well as how we're seeking your input and now that I've started talking, my dog has decided it's time to come over. She wants to be part of the conversation. I apologize. She's going to start pushing at me because anyway, so really the goal for what I want to do here right now is share some information about our plans so that you're not surprised when you start hearing about it, and also seek your feedback in terms of the best ways to engage with you, to engage with members, and just to get your feedback on the overall plan. There will be opportunities over the next year to share your input, to give us your feedback. So one of the first questions about this is, what does it mean for AGU to be a learning organization? And a big part of what that means is how do we take a strategy as an organization that's consistent across the whole organization and incorporates all of our areas that helps us think about and strategize. It's very hard to talk when there's a dog scratching at you. To think about how we approach learning and what we do with it and what choices we make, as well as how we do needs assessment, how we determine what members' needs are, and how we align carefully to that. So our overall vision for learning at AGU, and all of this, what we do will ultimately align directly back to the strategic priorities and will be aligned with the work that AGU is trying to do. But we want to transform AGU into a learning organization by meeting members and our other relevant audiences just in time learning needs. So we recognize that things change rapidly, and so how do we as an organization operate in order to meet those just in time needs? How do we look strategically at fostering career advancement across the lifespan of a career? How do we look at promoting individual development opportunities that are maybe targeted for individual needs, targeted for individual desires? And then how do we advance educational opportunities that allow you to expand the impact of your work, that allow all of our members to expand the impact of their work? We want to implement a learning framework that fosters sort of intentional development of learning and continuous improvement of that. So once we've developed things, how do we make sure that it is doing what we say it is? How do we determine what should change about it, how to grow it, or how to scale it back depending on what the situation is? And then how do we position learning at AGU to both be a revenue source, but also one that's a key feature that supports the strategic priorities of the organization? Next slide, please. So currently we have a variety of things, and these are just examples of things that could be considered learning at AGU. There are many, many things beyond this, but if you can see, there's just lots of different things that we do, and sometimes that amount is overwhelming, and it can result in decision fatigue. As I heard you all talking about all of the opportunities and options available for our students and honors and recognition things, how does somebody decide what's the right thing to go to, especially when we think about just the volume of opportunities that they really do have? Can we craft this in such a way that it becomes curated or focused in a way that makes it easier to access and discover and build on that learning? Next slide, please. So again, when we're looking at learning and we're talking about the kinds of engagement, there are directed and formal kinds of things, instructor-led workshops and training, online learning, courses, conferences and meetings, or things associated with conferences and meetings, and cohort kinds of things. But we also have self-directed and informal learning opportunities that exist at AGU. Next slide, please. Again, part of this is how do we structure this in a way that effectively helps people access it and targets people where they are and what they want and what they need in terms of their learning opportunities. So as we develop this learning strategy, our priorities are the following things, or we're keeping these priorities in mind. One of those is to develop a learning strategy and roadmap for implementation, but that strategy and implementation roadmap includes: how do we curate content at AGU? How do we curate it in a way that makes it easily accessible and advances members' access and opportunities for accessing that content and using it? What supporting technology do we need in order to be able to do that? What consistent structure do we want to use? How do we inventory existing AGU learning content and alignment of that content to the strategic priorities so that it's more consistent and not siloed experiences, but ongoing and continuous options? The identification of key cohort, key content and focus areas. Where do we want to grow? Where do we want to go on? How do we make those decisions about that? So the strategy will help us by creating a framework. And it's not that learning exists only in the learning programs area. Learning stretches across the organization, but by having a strategy, it allows all the areas to ask these questions and frame learning in a consistent way, again, so that members don't have siloed experiences with it, or, you know, spotty experiences. And this work aligns with the work that Amber's doing in member engagement. And I'm sorry, is that not the right? Oh, never mind. It aligns with lots of work all over the place. I'll let Amber yell at me later. I don't know whether I used the wrong term or I talked about something that I shouldn't yet, because she hasn't introduced it. But it aligns with a lot of work that AGU is doing across the organization to look at member needs, to look at member desires, and to look at how what we do aligns with that better. Supporting areas of AGU's scientific and basically, we want a strategy that helps us develop learning that aligns with the strategic priorities and directions that AGU is going, and that aligns with that and prioritizes those things. So things like open science, community science, climate science and resilience, and then the diversity and equity of science, both in production and practice, and advancing the capacity for our members to be able to identify and gain grant funding and other research funding. And then also looking at the advancing career and research capacity of earth and space scientists. So technical skills, leadership and strategic personal development skills, sometimes called soft skills, but I'd call them power skills, access to information and educational opportunities. And then that sort of, you know, recognizing that where we are in terms of the development of science and development of solutions for science, that we are helping members access interdisciplinary knowledge development opportunities and spaces. Next slide, please. So I'm going to scooch through this last part. We're just about done here, but we want you to understand the phases and the process that we're doing. This is a year-long process kicking off now. Much of the work that we're doing, such as this, is the foundation work, letting people know that this is what we're doing, building a group, having a charge, having a clear charge that people can see. So it's transparent work, and determining who needs to be part of that, both in core groups, but also in advisory capacities as we look at. And whether it's a task force, work group, advisory group is a little bit, we're trying to figure that out within the governance process at AGU. Phase 2 will really focus on the collecting of input and your feedback and needs assessment of who our members are, who our potential members are, and what their needs are at various points throughout their time at AGU. And then finally, thinking about what's the final strategy, what are the recommendations to make this happen, how do we get final approval, and then presenting that at next year's, in some way at next year's fall meeting. Next slide, please. So, you know, what we're doing right now is we're kicking off learning inventory, which internally, looking across the organization, there's a formal process to gather what is it we're doing, what exists around that, so that we can do some evaluation of that with the group that's going to do this work. We have a charge written, and we're working on forming that group that will lead that, and we'll be reaching out. There'll be member support, as well as internal AGU and some external input as well. We'll have a facilitator. We'll be creating a more formal, more detailed timeline than the phases I just showed you. But that's what's happening right now and through December. And we will have a set of guiding principles and strategic goals that sort of align within what the learning strategy should align to. Next slide, please. Phase 2 is really the collect information, find out what everybody means, find out, be strategic about thinking about what the learning insertion points are, the key learning things are. What are some ways that we could create programmatic pathways? What are some ways that we can curate content in a way that reduces decision fatigue about what I want to access? So grouping content in programmatic universes, if you could think about it from that way. Another big part of this is that we will be having creating a review process for all of our learning, so that there's cyclical review around what we consider learning, so that we are constantly and regularly coming back to that. So in the spring, we'll be starting to kick off pilot process for that, to think about what do we really need to gain from it and how do we make that systemic, not to throw in another bureaucratic process, but to create a way that we really are intentionally looking at learning at AGU. And part of this second phase, we'll be thinking about how are we going to assess the learning strategy, and how are we going to assess whether the learning strategy is helping us be more intentional about learning at AGU. Next slide, please. And then from September to December, we'll be seeking final feedback. We'll be presenting that final learning strategy, seeking approval, and developing the implementation plan. We will have already started to implement some of the pieces, like the review process and some of the other strategies that are identified as appropriate. So I think that's all. I think that was, yeah. So now questions, folks.
Thanks, Sam. Does anyone have questions? Tanya, I see you have something in the chat, but do you want to come on mic and expand on what you say is engage part of the initiative? I'm not quite sure what you mean.
We've been keeping up with Heather Goss on the Engage initiative of using the new framework of EOS in conjunction with teaching materials that have been developed for use in classrooms. And I didn't know there was a relationship here as far as outreach and additional ages and venues for learning.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that again, learning stretches across every area at AGU. And I think sometimes we don't know what everybody is doing in every section, in every area. So in some ways, there's some silos that we need to reach across. So that's part of the learning inventory. It's not to take away from what other people are doing, but to also look at, like, this is a really good thing. We want to expand it. We want to be intentional about how we're using that. Some of it is also a content strategy, so that for developing learning materials that might be used in classrooms or elsewhere, there's a way to do that effectively and easily. I'm not fully aware of what the Engage strategy is, because it hasn't been part of the conversations that I've been part of. I've only been here since August, and I've been getting to know the organization, heavily involved in several grant pieces and some other things, and trying to build out how are we going to do this strategy. So I feel a little bit like I don't know how to talk about Engage or what that looks like. And I don't know if Heather's here and if Heather can talk about it. But I will certainly follow up. But the intention is, this isn't about one single strategy at the institution or the organization, rather. It's not about a single strategy. It's about how do we frame that. So if we take Engage and we want to continue to do Engage, how do we review it? How do we make sure that it's doing what we want it to do? What is it that we want it to do? And then how do we align the content so that that can expand or be more accessible to folks? Does that answer your question, Tanya?
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, well, thanks, Sam. We're glad you came to chat with us today, and I'm sure we'll see you at a few more of these meetings going forward. So, and you can always follow up with us with more questions. So why don't we move to the next topic? And why don't we go to the next slide as well? So Nicole Oliphant is here. She's with the meetings team and is going to talk to us about fall meeting and scientific programs. So Nicole, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Great, thanks.
All right, thank you, Rosa. All right, next slide. All right, I'm going to give everyone a brief overview on the scientific programs at the fall meeting. I think most of you know me well, or have served on the program committee at one point or another. The program committee was very busy through the month of September finalizing the program. We have released our the scientific program, and as most of you know, we have a very robust program. We have over 2,600 sessions spanning the week of fall meeting. We're also hosting some online only content the week prior to the fall meeting this year. Session types this year, as we did try to simplify the program, we are hosting hybrid only oral sessions. Those will include a mix of in-person and online presentations. Those of course will include the union sessions and name lectures. In-person only poster sessions will be held throughout the week in the poster hall. And we'll also have the online only poster discussion sessions. Those will be scheduled daily in the morning and the afternoon. We also have 20 innovation sessions that are scheduled throughout the week. Those are interdisciplinary topical sessions that allow for creative format. We also have 29 scientific workshops. Those are held the Saturday and Sunday prior to the meeting. Also, we have some virtual workshops that will be held prior to fall meeting. We also have 88 town halls. Those will be held during the week of fall meeting. Also, some virtual town halls held prior to fall meeting. We had almost 21,000 abstracts received this year. That translates to almost 21,000 presentations that will be given during the week of fall meeting. We were very excited to see almost, as you see from the numbers, almost 80,000 student abstracts that were submitted. And this was also with submissions spanning almost 100 countries. Our numbers included almost 80% of our abstract authors who indicated they were going to be attending the meeting in person participation. I don't have our current registration numbers. Those will be coming from our logistics team, who are unfortunately fortunately on a site visit in San Francisco today. So we don't have our current registration numbers, but I'm sure they'll be happy to provide those to you after this call. Next slide. So this very tiny slide picture of the schedule at a glance is available on our website. But we also, again, the online scientific program is on the website for viewing and available. In an effort to maximize time slots for those in person and increase networking, and also provide opportunities to include our virtual attendees. The model this year was created by the Fall Meeting Program Committee based on feedback received from the prior meetings and the 21 meeting in New Orleans. Some of the enhancements including increasing the oral sessions from 75 to 90 minutes, returning to 2 poster session blocks per day, including the daily 1-hour poster sessions. We have a morning block and an afternoon block dedicated again solely to virtual poster viewing. We have several monitor areas in the poster hall so that people can view the online posters through and view the poster galleries. The oral session blocks do not start until 9 a.m. daily. There is no traditional e-lightning theater this year, but we have introduced a pilot program where we do have some poster sessions that will be presented at the monitors, the touchscreen monitors, rather than traditional poster boards this year. As I noted earlier, the innovation sessions will run throughout the week and the special designated theater. And again, we have the workshops that will be held Saturday and Sunday prior to the meeting and the online town halls. Next slide. We have a great plenary schedule. We still have some invitations out, and we hope to make some additional announcements in the next coming days. But our current schedule, we have the Presidential Forum Lecture, which is Dilla Thomas. He's the foremost Chicago urban historian and social media sensation. He's scheduled for Monday. Our agency lecturer is Asmaret Baer. She's the director of Office of Science and Department of Energy. She is actually, it says invited, but we just confirmed her for Wednesday. The Frontiers of Geophysics lecturer is Dr. Carlos Nobre. He is confirmed for Thursday. We have an art and science plenary panel, which will be moderated by Dr. Mika Tosca. This panel will also be represented by a broad range of artistic mediums and practices, and will speak to how their art can inspire action on large questions such as climate change and science communication. We'll also close out the week with an open science plenary with Dr. Alex Saleh. Okay, next slide. We also have 2 late breaking sessions that are open for abstracts. The deadline right now is Wednesday, November 9th. They're on extreme 2022 hydrologic events and global 2022 hurricanes, typhoons, and tropical cyclones. Just want to let you know, Meiji membership is required for these abstract submissions. However, abstracts can be submitted even if an author has already submitted an abstract to AGU. The first author policy is waived. Details for these sessions can be found on our the fall meeting website. Next slide. So I want to go into a little bit of details about what the hybrid format for the meeting is regarding the oral sessions and the poster sessions. Next slide. So for the oral sessions, for the virtual, the oral sessions are completely hybrid. Virtual presenters for the virtual presenters in oral sessions, we are asking them to pre-record their presentations. They will be able to participate in the session and live Q&A and the discussion, but we are asking them to pre-record their presentations to assist the technicians and to decrease any issues with any technical difficulties during the live sessions. If they are presenting in person, they can upload their slides just as they have normally would. They can upload their slides either beforehand or on site in the speaker ready room. For presenters scheduled in an in-person poster session, we are asking them to the poster presenters to create a paper poster for display in the poster session on their scheduled day of their session. They can also take advantage of creating or uploading their poster in the iPoster system. This will give them some additional exposure. People can still, there are virtual attendees will be able to also see their posters. So we are also encouraging all of our in-person poster presenters to also take advantage of that option as well. And they can also take advantage of the option to create chats and chat with the virtual attendees anytime during the week outside of their scheduled poster sessions. So new this year, we are offering, because due to the size of the meeting, we are not able to offer the option for presenters, for poster presenters to change their presentation status. So if they have it let us know that they will be in person and then cannot attend the meeting, we are not able to change their presentation to a virtual session. So if they are not able to attend the meeting in person any longer, we are offering an option that, so if they cannot find a co-author to attend in their place, we are offering them an option to choose an option called an iPoster only option, which is equivalent to a kind of a publish only option, where they can choose to still to create an iPoster so their poster would still appear in the gallery. People can still view it. They just would not still be presenting their poster in the live session. So they still have so presenters will have the option to choose that option in the presenter's corner or participants corner when they're choosing to confirm their participation for the meeting. Registration is required, so they would still need to be registered to attend the meeting virtually. So online only poster sessions, if the presenter is scheduled to present online, they are required to create an iPoster. So when they attend those online sessions, they will have created an online poster. They will display their online poster in those online sessions. We have detailed information on our website, which I'll get into in just a moment, but we'll have a journey map. So when you go onto the website, you can follow along and find out exactly, again, what your presentation type is and exactly what your requirements are and how you should be participating. Next slide. So right now we do have a lot of detailed information on our website. Presenters have been sent information, so they can, again, go to our website. We have presenter and chair guidelines listed there. So they can choose how they're if you're a chair, if you're a presenter, how you are presenting at the meeting, if you're presenting online, if you're presenting in person, what type of session you're presenting in, and find the information appropriate for your role at the meeting. There's also a detail if you choose up on the right hand corner of the website. We now have a detailed contact form, which will hopefully help a lot of presenters and attendees at our meeting to find out information and get help quicker from AGU staff. It's a contact form which will ask them questions and help people get to the right area at AGU to help them answer and hopefully get answers quicker. I'm a presenter. I'm looking for help with how to create my poster, or I'm looking for registration information, and hopefully that'll help a lot this year. Next slide. So we have already started offering some presenter and chair trainings. We have a couple more coming up, but the recordings are also available for presenters when they log into their user portal. They can see the recordings. We've already had one for with presenter poster presenter tips and training and tricks. We had one yesterday for oral presenters for technical talks. We have one on Monday for iPoster training on how to create your iPoster. And we'll have one on November 2nd for session chairs. We'll also have a specific training or a training recording from our AV techs that will more delve into how to operate the equipment in the session rooms and the specifics around Zoom meetings and Q&A technology. That will be announced later in November. And we'll also have AGU staff hours in November that will also be announced. Those will just be open staff hours for anyone to get on and ask us questions if you may have on how to chair your session, or how to, or for presenters who may have questions. Next slide. So the basic overview of the presenter timeline. This is not required, but we are encouraging all presenters to register by November 2nd. That is the early bird deadline, so that it helps the chairs, it helps the AV, helps staff know that the intent that the presenters have to attend, or if they need to find a replacement or a co-author to present in their place. In early November, the presentation upload site will be added, will be available. We'll also be reaching out to all the presenters with that information and with instructions on how to pre-record their talks, instructions on how to create their slides. December 1st is the deadline that we'd like to impose for iPoster presentation to be created and published. That is not an enforced deadline. That is the date that coincides with our online gallery going live with our virtual platform. So we do encourage as many poster presenters to have their posters available for viewing when the gallery goes live. We will be sending for any presenters who are presenting online in our oral sessions. We will be sending Zoom links to access the Zoom, the Zoom sessions. we'll be sending those out via email. So those emails will be going out on December 6th. Anybody who's registered, any presenters that are registered will be able to log in to the presentation upload site and get those links. But if you are not registered, you will only be emailed your link. December 8th is the deadline for any pre-recordings for virtual presenters. Those will have to be uploaded via the upload site. If you're presenting online, we do ask that you pre-upload your presentation online. But if you are attending on site, you will be able to go to the Speaker Ready Room and bring your presentation to the Speaker Ready Room on site in Chicago. Next slide. So currently, the online program is maybe the site that you've been familiar with. That's our Convex online program. This serves as the current site that you can navigate to search for sessions and abstracts and start building your itinerary. This site will convert to the mobile app and the virtual platform in early December. So when you have created your itinerary, you'll be able to, you will be able to convert that over to the online program in December. Next slide. So this is screenshots from our mobile app from last year. So again, the mobile app and the virtual platform, this will be for registered attendees only. So once you have registered for the meeting, you'll be able to use the mobile app and the virtual platform. This is what you will need to have to be able to access and join any virtual session, to log in to view a live session, and to launch it if you want to watch a recording of any sessions. All content will be available to registered attendees and presenters only, and recorded content will be available until late February. Next slide. And again, the iPoster platform, the iPoster gallery, will also only be available to registered attendees. You'll only be able to access it through the virtual platform. So again, just a reminder, there's no e-lightning sessions or theater this year. Again, all online poster sessions, posters will be available through the gallery. We're encouraging all in-person poster presenters to also create posters, which you'll also be able to view through the gallery. And next slide. And our iPosters team has been very busy listening to feedback and making fast improvements. Actually, I think the email went out to poster presenters yesterday to start creating their slides. So they have made very many improvements to the templates and making things easier, including like loading PDFs into templates, creating some additional templates for authors to use, adding video presentation enhancements, being able to set up multiple chats during the week, setting up surveys and polls, and making it easy to add captions on images. And making a lot of things easier for the authors. And next slide. And that was a lot of information, so I'll take any questions you have.
Thanks, Nicole. It looks like you've got a few things in the chat. And Tanya, I see you have something in the chat and your hand raised, so why don't you go ahead?
So I got my question in the chat. Related to that, folks in my section who are sharing online poster sessions would love to know from where they should do that. Is there a special place? Are you just doing your own thing? And so the other related question is, in an individual session, will all of the iPosters for that session be in one place, or are they scattered in a gallery?
So here's the first question. So the online sessions, there will be some viewing areas, some some areas where you could bring your headphones and your laptop, and they won't be completely quiet though. But there's seating areas that you'll be able to launch your session and be able to share it or to listen in on an online session, but they won't be completely soundproof. So, and also the oral session rooms will not be in use at that time. So that's another recommended area that you could, possibly, that'd be a great area to use during that time.
Okay, thanks for that. And we have a question from Julie. Will the innovation sessions be in a regular room, or will they be in an arena like those used, or area where those use AGU 100 meeting?
The innovation sessions will be in a regular session room, but they'll be set a little bit different this year. So there's going to be mixed seating with rounds and theater seating.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Nicole? Okay, so why don't we give ourselves
I want to answer, Tanya, I think Tanya had the second question about the where the monitors are.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry, yes.
So there's four clusters of monitors, and it's scattered throughout the poster hall. So you'll be able to, those will be open for viewing, to be able to view the online posters at any time during the day during the poster sessions. And when we do have some of the sessions that will be scheduled there to have their posters there, there'll still be some open monitors for people to still be able to browse the gallery during those times.
Great, thank you. Thanks for catching that. Anything else for Nicole? All right, thanks so much, Nicole. We really appreciate it. And before we go into open mic, I'm going to ask Amber Levy, who's our new VP of Affiliation, Engagement, and Membership, if she'd like to chime in.
Thanks, Rosa. Hi, everyone. It's good to see you. I just wanted to quickly say thank you for your time and attention. I know we shared a lot of content today, and thanks also to those who presented. Obviously, we're at a critically busy time given that fall meeting is right around the corner. But I won't take up too much of your time because I want to make sure we leave most of what's left so that y'all can ask questions and engage with each other. But just wanted to say hello and thank you. And I do really look forward to meeting those of you who join us in Chicago in December. So Rosa, back to you.
All righty, thanks, Amber, appreciate it. All right, so we've got a few more minutes here. If anyone has any questions of the presenters from earlier, or anything you want to share, any leading practices, promising practices, or just general questions. Raise your hand, chat, yell out. All right. I don't see anything. All right. Well, as I mentioned, our meeting next month is going to be a week earlier than the usual cadence, but we will, as usual, send an agenda and a couple of reminders beforehand. And I'll make my usual pitch that if there's specific things you want to hear from us about, please let me know. We want to make sure these are useful meetings for you. And we look forward to, of course, seeing you in Chicago. And we thank you for everything you do as volunteers. We know that you have a lot of other things on your plate, and the fact that you're here in service to the community is really good stuff. And we appreciate everything. So with that, I'm going to say bye until next time, and follow up with us as you need.